Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you. Has anybody ever felt anxiety going up in front of a group of people? Raise your hand. Okay, because right now my palms are super sweaty, my hands are shaking, my heart is pounding like crazy, and I think I told Calvin Banks that if I throw up on him, that I'm really sorry. And of course, he looked at me and said, "It's totally okay, Jen." So thank you, my friend. This is what anxiety has, it looks like, and a lot of people have it, including the people that you work with every day. As a kid, these are some of the things that I felt. Now, these are just random quotes that I got out there. But that feeling of being in a performance situation, even at work, where you had to be in front of others and communicate with people, and there was that fear that you were going to say or do something stupid and the wrong thing. That is social anxiety. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. Growing up, I started taking piano lessons when I was 6 years old. I took piano lessons all the way until I went off to college, but I never once played in front of anyone other than my mom and dad and my siblings because I was too afraid to do a recital and get up in front of others. When I got to college, I was told, "Hey, you have a prerequisite. You have to take a speech class," and I just about died. So the first time that I had to give a speech in front of people, I literally stopped halfway through the middle of it, in a panic, shaking, fearful, and ran out of the room. The second time I had to give a speech, I realized, "Jen, you got to get your act together or you will never make it through this." And so my task was to talk about the depletion of rainforests. That was my subject. And so for 4 days over a long weekend, I studied that little segment of the Britannica Encyclopedia as much as I possibly could so that I knew everything there was that I could possibly know about the depletion of rainforests. And I was able to pull it together. And at that time, that was when I realized that I could control the anxiety as long as I really knew what I was talking about. So, symptoms. I've already mentioned several of them. It's the sweating, racing heart, reoccurring nightmares. And a lot of times my nightmares would include being up in front of a group of people like you. And of course, I read all kinds of material about what to do, like picture people naked. And then I was like, well, that's just creepy and scary. So no. Obsessive thoughts and feeling of panicking attacks. So, as I started doing research on this, I discovered that this is growing. Anxiety is growing in our kids, and that's what I wanted to talk about today. Because 1 in 5 millennials have some sort of depression or anxiety or fear of being in front of others. That's 25% more likely than a Gen Xer would have, or 50% more likely than the baby boomers. So it's definitely growing. And some of the reasons why are because some of us might be helicopter parents. I kind of am one of them. It's easy to have happen. You want your children to do the right thing, and nowadays we tend to do more and more for our kids. So, helicopter parenting means we do things for our kids that they almost already know how to do for themselves, but we still step in and take over for them. It's also we do things for our kids that they already know how to do. You know, one of the things that I recently did with my kids is I have each night of the week somebody help me make dinner, because again, I want them to learn how to do that on their own and not be fearful of it. And then our parenting behavior is often motivated by our own egos and past fears. And to give you an example, as my 12-year-old son got on the bus to go to middle school, which middle school is horrible, he goes to get on the bus, and I'm sitting there watching this little guy get on the bus by himself in a school he'd never been in before, and the whole time I was a nervous wreck. I had a panic attack on the way to work. The whole day I was nervous. And then I got home and I said, "So Ben, how'd it go?" And he just looked at me and he's like, "Mom, it was totally fine. It was cool." And here I realized that I was projecting my own fear, panic, and anxiety on my son, and that if I wasn't careful, I was going to make him anxious and fearful. I never thought I'd quote Socrates, but it's true. Nothing vast ever enters the life of mortals without some sort of curse. And this is where technology comes in. And I'm not saying technology is a curse, because technology is amazing. To all of my Wisetail friends and Legacy and DiscoverLink, we love you, thank you. But along with technology comes even more anxiety for our kids. And a couple examples of that would be a father in Virginia who has a drone that hovers over his child as he's walking the 4 blocks to get to his bus stop, right? Another example is 2 gentlemen out of San Francisco created what's called Sproutling, and it's a little microchip that goes into wearable portable device that predicts for your children, their babies, their sleep patterns, their duties, their vital signs, as well as what mood they might have during that day. This is for babies. This is where technology is going. So introducing that to our drone parenting, which between technology and parenting as a helicopter parent, we're adding even more anxiety because kids are getting to the point when they come to the work environment, they're so used to knowing what's going to happen. They're used to getting a blue ribbon every time that they participate in an event, that when they enter the work environment, suddenly if they're told they're not doing something very well or they need to improve in the work setting, they're like freaked out because that's happened to them. So as I did research again, 18.1% of Americans suffer from some sort of social anxiety. Women are 60% more likely because they just have so much going on and so many things, making it in work, being able to get that career they've always wanted, taking care of their kids. So 60% more likely. And the typical onset is around age 13, which makes sense with the whole middle school coming in. But what it comes down to is individuals feel powerless, or they're fearful that they're going to embarrass themselves in front of others. And we've even had some examples last night in Patrick's awesome acceptance speech when he said he was nervous about doing a regional training forum, right? And it took his friend that encouraged him, Kurt, to get up there and do that. That's another example of stepping into something and allowing yourself to do it. So anxiety disorders in the workplace manifest themselves as fatigue, difficulty concentrating, and employees that require reassurance about their performance. Now, chances are an employee is not going to come up to you and say, I have social anxiety. However, keep that in mind, and it really is about just awareness that this is happening in your restaurants and your hotels. Being able to go up to your employees and doing whatever it can to reassure them. Businesses must invest in baseline coaching that teaches kids life skills. And that's as simple as eye contact, being able to shake somebody's hand, being able to say thank you, having a great conversation with them. Because as a kid, I even had difficulties going up and buying something at a bookstore because I was going to have to interact with somebody that I didn't know. So being able to give them that courage. And as I end this here, there's some other ways to reduce anxiety. And one thing I always say is when you enter in the work environment, your first job, always bring a friend with you. Find somebody that you want to work with. People that have anxiety will feel a lot better when they have a comrade that's working right by them side by side. Involve them in special tasks. And just as Patrick said last night, I felt the same way about chart. I was always the person that sat in the back of the room or who didn't stay out late at night, didn't get to know people as well. And it wasn't until I was asked to be on a conference team that changed my whole world. Because being on a conference team gave me something to do. So I was busy at the registration desk or I was helping create binders, whatever it was. And by the way, as I was doing that, I was making new friendships, and I was feeling better and better about being with people. So I learned how to be a leader in many ways through chart, which is so awesome. So we don't want to single them out. They're not the kind of person that's going to want to get up in front of people or make big speeches. You want to help them find common interests that they might have with other employees as well. So if you find out, oh, hey, so-and-so loves paddleboarding, you like paddleboarding, or you like skiing. So getting them to have that commonality. Telling them when they feel overwhelmed, it's totally cool to take a 30-second vacation in the walk-in cooler if that's what they need, when they're feeling that panic or that concern. And obviously another big one is to encourage those differences that we see in people. And I'm just going to end it with this one last slide here. And I'm not going to go through everything because, of course, we are on a time crunch here. But I absolutely love the graphics that are in this piece here because it talks about, first of all, your weaknesses can be your best features. Mistakes happen, you can definitely learn from them. It's okay to not be popular. It's okay to embarrass yourself. Because a lot of times when people have social anxiety, they all feel like I'm embarrassing myself, but really the people around them are like, no, you're not. You're totally cool. That wasn't embarrassing. And they learn to embrace it a little bit. Every single problem you have is not unique. And so when somebody has anxiety, they start to feel like I'm the only one that's experiencing this. And I can tell you in talking to my friends this morning before I came up on stage, many of my friends, in fact, that are coming up here right now have that anxiety, the butterflies in their stomach. And what that really means is that you care. You care about everything that you're talking to with people. And it's okay to have that anxiety. So again, as I close, just want to say chart changed my life because I did have this growing up. And as a leader, being a part of this organization has helped me get through that. So thank you very much.